So it's lesson 10, hour 3. Okay, well, I suggest you can refer to what's on the GitHub repository. And if you have a question and we still have time before our time ends today, then I'll be happy to look at it with you. So we can send our payments to Stripe, and now Stripe is sending a response back to save order. So we're going to need to create this save order method here. Oops, so this will be our get. Shop/save order. It's going to require authentication. So here are the things we're going to have to do here. We're going to get the current order from the session. We're going to create a new order in the database. We're going to copy each item from the user's cart, excuse me, to a new order detail record. So we're creating a parent-child. First, we create an order, and then we create all of the details, each line item in the order. We want to empty the cart, so if the user goes back, their cart will then show as being empty. And then we want to load the details page for the new order. So this will serve as a confirmation. We would also probably, in a real world shopping cart, we'd send an email confirmation. We don't have access to a working mail server, so we're going to skip that part. So these are the 5 things that are going to happen when we save a new order. So we're going to get our order object from our session variable. And then we're going to call context.orders that we created last week, .add. So we're going to add the new order to the orders DB set that we created in our application DB context. So in last week's class, first we built our order and order detail models. I'd put the code up on Blackboard and we created those. And then in our application DB context, we added these 2 lines last week to add a DB set called orders and a second one called order details. So we're adding a new record to our orders DB set. What do we need to do? We now want to save that change to the database. So we're creating a new order in our list of orders. What do we have to do to save to the database? One short command here on line 245. No, migration is for changing the structure of the database. We just want to close. You can look in the add to cart method. Farouk is right. We've got a call, right? So when we added an item to our cart, up here in our add to cart method, right? We called add, and then we called save changes. That commits the change from the DB set to the database. In our remove from cart, we did a similar thing. We called remove on our cart DB set and called save changes. So to make any changes in SQL Server, we always need this line, context.savechanges. So this creates a new order, and it will populate the primary key. So until we call save changes, we have an order, but the ID is blank. Once we call save, the entity framework automatically will grab the new ID and attach it to our order object. So now we want to go through the items in the cart, and we want to create an order detail for each one. So then we want to go and get all of the items in our customer's shopping cart. So we've used this exact query before in our cart and checkout methods. So we now want to loop through each item in the cart. If they bought 3 different items, we need to create 3 separate order detail records. So I'm going to make a new order detail and basically just copy the properties. So our order ID So that's going to be the new primary key that gets generated here. So each line item has to be attached to an order. Each line item needs a product ID. So we're going to grab that from the user's cart. The quantity is going to come from the user's cart. And the price is also going to come from the user's cart. So for every item in the cart, we're creating a new line item. And then we're going to add each one to our DB set. We won't call save changes yet. We'll add each item first in memory to our order details. So we'll save new line items to the DB with context.save. So this will create one order and populate the ID. We're then getting all the items in their cart, and we're creating an order detail for each item in the cart. We're tying it to our new order, and we're just copying in the product, the quantity, and how much it costs. And then we're going to save all the line items to the database. So this will build an order, the parent record, and the related children. We can then use our cart items. We then want to delete everything in cart items. So we want to remove everything from the user's shopping cart in the database. So once we've added the line items, we can loop through these again. So I'll use the exact same loop. We're going to use it twice. Once to create all the order details, and then a second time to clear out the cart. So this time we're going to remove each item. Once we do this, how do we commit that change to the database again? So we actually have to hit the database 3 times in this method. First, to create an order. Yep, thanks, Farouk. Second, to create the order details. And third, to empty the cart. So one more time. When we call save changes, this is now going to remove everything for that customer from the carts table. So then we want to load an order details page. And we need to pass in our new order ID so the customer, we know what order to show the user. So we'll do a redirect. We'll return. I will put this up on Pastebin in a minute. This is the last line of code in this method. So we're going to use a different version here. We're going to use this version of the redirect method. We need to specify the name of the method, the name of the controller, because we're going to redirect to a different controller. We're going to leave the shop controller now that we're done. And we're going to load an orders controller. We'll scaffold that in a minute. And we also need to pass in the ID. So our action name will be details. Our controller name will be orders. And then we're going to pass in the primary key, the order. Basically, we're passing in the order number. So we want to load the details method of the orders controller and provide the primary key. So we can run this all right now and we're just going to get a blank screen. That's okay. But if we look in our database, we should get a new order, new line items, and then the user's cart should be empty. I'm going to put this whole method up on Pastebin so you can check it. And then I'm going to create a new order, start shopping right from the beginning, and I can try it out. I'm also going to connect to my database so I could actually look in the orders and order details table and see right now those tables are blank. If this process runs properly after we pay with Stripe, it should generate an order and order details. So I'll have a look at the database right now. And both order and order details are probably blank right now. So my orders page, my orders table is empty. Order details, it's also empty. Yours will be as well, because we just built the tables last week. So there won't be anything in there yet. So my cart, I'm going to have to repopulate. I'm going to put 2 or 3 different products in to make sure each one of them gets saved here to order details. So I'll buy one of those, 2 of those, 3 of those. So I have 6 items in my cart. My order is the low price of $509.95. I'll go to checkout. I'll call Stripe. Use all 42s as my card number. Any expiry as long as it's in the future. Any CVV value. I'll put in a valid postal code. It's got the right amount, $509.94. Send my payment to Stripe. So it took me to save order. I think something's gone wrong. We'll have to see why. Right. Path is wrong. Thank you, Diana. It's not calling our method. This needs to be /shop/save order. So Stripe took my payment. There's the payment, but I didn't redirect to the right place. Thank you. So in our process payment method, our success URL should be /shop/save order. Never actually called our save order method. Thank you. Good catch. So I want to change the success URL in process payment. Make sure you add /shop at the front of it. That's okay. I'll save that. Just part of the process. We go through, we try it, we debug. So I'll go all the way back to my cart. My cart should still be here. Oh no, it's expired because I've changed the code. This time I'll get 3 of those. 2 Last of Us, 1 NBA game. So 6 items, but different price. A little lower. $489.97. And I'll try my payment again. The amount is right. Stripe validates it. And now it's taking me to orders details 1. So that's good. That's where we should go. I'm going to go back to Management Studio. And now I've got order ID 1 time-stamped with my customer ID, the information I put on the checkout page, and the total. If I query order details, I've now got 3 items. They all belong to order ID 1. My 3 different products and how much I paid. And now if I go to check my cart, so I'll go back to shop and cart, my cart has been emptied. So this is working as it should. So now we can just scaffold an orders controller and build a details view. It'll just require some changes. We'll build it out, we'll scaffold it, I'll make a new order. It will load our new details page, and then we can customize that view. So again, I changed the path here in success URL. If you need the shop save order method, it's on paste bin in the link in the chat. So we get the order from the session, we save it to the database, we get the items in the cart, we create a new order detail for every item in the cart, we clear out the cart, save that, and then load our order details and pass in the order number that we just generated. So now I'm going to create an orders controller, and I'll use scaffolding. I'll right-click controllers, and I'm going to add a new controller, MVC controller with views. We don't need all of this, but we can delete what we don't need. So I'm going to pick an MVC controller with views using Entity Framework, just like we did with our categories and our products. Our model for this is the order model. That's really the only thing here I have to change. It uses our application DB context. We want Visual Studio to generate the views with our JavaScript libraries, our usual layout, and we want to call it orders controller. So I'll just click add. We'll let Visual Studio run the code to create the controller, create the 5 views. And then I want to make a new order. And when my order is done, it should load a details page automatically. So here's our controller. We'll just leave it as it is for now. We'll see if the details page loads, and once it loads, then we can make some changes to it. So I'm going to start shopping again. So I have not changed anything in the orders controller or the views. I'll just buy one item. Fill out my payment again. It's only $89.99. So now it loads my order page. It's not complete, really. I mean, it's good. It shows us the order date. It should show our order number. Has my email address, which we don't really need because it's here. Shows the address and the total. What things do we need to clean up a little bit here? So it's functional, but it's not really, needs some work. what changes should we make here? If you think about what you would need to see as a customer in your order confirmation. Yep, that's a good idea, Ivan. So we would kind of want to show the items maybe the same way we showed them in the cart. We could maybe replicate some of that, build a little table down here to show each item. Yep, we can do that. Anything else we should do? Should I be allowed to do this after creating the item and paying for it? As a customer? Yeah, maybe not. It also gives us the list, which is okay, except, well, here, let me copy that URL. I'll go to a private window. So what else should we do with this? I'd say a couple things here with our details. What's wrong with this? Yep, we want to take out the edit option. Yes, we probably want to show the order number. Am I logged in right now? No. So what's the problem here? Right, I've got to provide authentication. But even still, not just authentication. So I'm logged in. Yeah, so I'm logged in as this person, as customer one, yet I can see the order made by my UOIT account. So we should also be checking on details that the person who's logged in owns this order. So yeah, we need to check authorization, not so much based on the roles, but based on who the customer is. That I shouldn't be able to see an order if it's not mine. So let's just clean these things up a little bit. So first of all, in our orders controller, right at the top, we should authorize. So if you're not logged in, you can't get to the orders at all. This is going to require us to add a reference to Microsoft ASP.NET Core Authorization. So anonymous users can't get in here, period. In details, we want to add a check that says, if you try and load an order, you have to own that order, unless you are an administrator. But we can deal with that later. So ensure current user owns the order being requested. So this is going to go inside of details, and we'll have to do it with our index as well. Oops, because our index right now, it just lists all the orders. Let's say if user.identity Actually, sorry, it shouldn't go here. Should actually go down here. First, we'll look up the order. So if our user.identity.name does not equal order.customer ID, this means the person who's logged in is not the customer for this order number. So we want to return, in this case, an unauthorized, a 401 message. Whoops. So that goes in the details method. So with this check now, if I'm logged in as customer 1, I should no longer be able to see the orders I made with my Ontario Tech login. Let's try this out. So I got 2 different versions open. I'll shop as customer 1 in this tab, and over here I'm logged in with my Ontario Tech login. So over here, I can load, orders, details 1, no problem. I'll make a different order. Customer 1, I'll pay, put in a different address. So I'm going to make orders now as 2 different customers. So this way I can verify that each customer can only see their own orders. So this should generate order ID number 3, which it does. So with my Ontario Tech user, if I try to go to 3, I'm locked. Can't get in. I can get into 1 because I own it. I can get into 2 because I own it. I can't get into 3. As customer 1, I have the opposite. I can load order 3 because it's mine. But I can't load 1. Can't load 2. As an anonymous user, I can't load any of them. Because we're locked out when we're not authenticated. We also want to add this little filter. Actually, I guess we'll come back to that. No, we'll do it here. In our index. So index is fetching all the orders. We want to filter this so we only see the orders that we made. So this is going to be .where. User.identity. So we want to filter order list for the current user only. So there's our index method. So if I want to see the list of orders, it now only shows me my own orders. And Ivan, we are going to do implement your suggestion by showing the items, and we should also clear out the item count in our session variable. So if I click back to list here, with my Ontario Tech, I only see orders 1 and 2 because those are mine. If I log back in, it's customer 1. Go to orders. I only see the third order, ID 3. So each customer gets their own set of orders. They can't view each other's. Yes, we would probably we could format this page, but I'm going to leave that for now. We also could add a link here when customer is logged in. We can add a link to my orders. That would show up here. So we filtered both our order list and our order details so customers can't see each other's orders. That just seems natural for security. So now I'll go to my orders and details, and we can clean this up a little bit. I'll change the heading on line 4 and on line 8. So it says order details. And in here, I'll add the model.id. We're going to show the order number in the header. Emily was suggesting, yeah, it doesn't actually show the order number anywhere on the page. It's in the URL, but the customer doesn't see it. So I'm going to add that to my H1 tag. Let's put that order number in bold at the top. And then down below, I'm going to take out the edit, as Maggie suggested. But in between here, we want to display all the items in the order. So we'll create a table. This will be the last thing we'll do today. So our table is going to show the product. It'll show the quantity. And it'll show the price. I'm not going to worry about the thumbnails or the product links for now. We'll just sort of keep it simple. And then we'll use a loop to display the details. So we can automatically access the child object here because our model has order details. We'll show the product name. We'll show the quantity. And we'll show the cost. So we'll see how this comes out. So I'm going to go back. I'll click Details. Okay, so we may need to modify our controller a bit. In details, we'll add dot include we want to include the child. So I'm going to modify that. We'll see if that works. When we're writing the query to go and fetch the current order, include the child data. So this will do a join. Don't just get the order, but also get the details. And actually in here, we're also going to need to include, we may need to, let's see, p dot order details dot, okay. We'll start here. We'll see if that fixes our issue. Okay, so that fixed. I'm just going to change this for just a minute just to see if the page loads. It's not quite complete, but that should fix the errors. Okay. So yeah, we'd want to add formatting. I'll clean this up a bit. I'll have to do a little more to get the product name here and format. I'd also want to clean up this page, get rid of my create, edit, and delete. And lastly, I could add a link in the navigation. So I'm going to do that. I'll let you go. I'll do some of this cleanup on my own and maybe record it after. And I'll fix the display of the products. So in my shared layout, I'm going to add a link here if the user is a customer. In this case, when they're logged in, they can see all their orders. So the controller is orders, and the action is index. And it can say my orders. So when I'm logged into the site as a customer, I should be able to see an order link. Oh, I'm not a customer. We'll just say if user dot if. We'll just say if they're authenticated. That'll be easier. So if they're logged in, show my orders. So now I can go see my order list, see my order confirmation. Shows my order number. So there is a bit more cleanup I can do here, but I will do that. I won't keep you any longer. I'll record it and push that to GitHub as well with those changes. And I'll also need to clear out the cart at the end of the order, clear out the session variable so our little number beside our cart gets cleared out. I will clean all that stuff up. I'll record it a little bit later today. Okay, I'm going to push everything up to GitHub. I'm going to have to let you go and sign out of WebEx because I have a meeting starting shortly. If you need help with anything, there's no homework, no quiz this week, but I do have some office hours appointments still available if anybody needs help. You can always reach me by email as well. If I don't hear from you, have a great week, and I will see you next Monday.